Hello everyone, this is Shannon from That's So Po, and today I'm doing week 24 of my 2021 reads. This week I read 4 books, some of which I absolutely loved and one of which I was a little disappointed in. Timestamps and content warnings are in the description box below. First, I read Her Body and Other Parties by Carmen Machado. I buddy read this with Kristina at Bookworm Dreams, whose channel I will link below. Kristina and her friend Maya run their channel together. They're Croatian booktubers who do a lot of SFF. So if you like SFF, for sure, check out their channel. And romance. They read a lot of romance too. So Kristina and I buddy read this, and I'm so glad that we did. It is a collection of kind of creepy short stories. I would say that these are like supernatural stories, but really literary fiction. They have a very, very feminist bend, a lot of tackling issues of the way that women are treated, and especially the way that women's bodies are treated. There's definitely a little bit of body horror in here as well, although it wasn't too excessive in most of the stories, but a lot of these stories really fall heavier on the literary side than the genre fiction side, and that was kind of hard. Kristina and I had great discussions basically saying, I have no clue what this story was saying, do you? This collection was really, even though I liked the themes of it, I struggled to care about a lot of the stories. I struggled to understand them. Even though there were a couple of stories that really were stand out, there were quite a few that I DNF'd and quite a few that, even though I finished, I didn't really enjoy. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars, and I would say that maybe if you're somebody who reads more literary fiction and you're good at teasing apart what's going on, like what the deeper themes are in a story, it could work for you. Or maybe if you're just a huge fan of that kind of creepier supernatural feel. But I was pretty disappointed in this collection, actually. I kind of thought that I would love it. And now I'm not so sure if I really want to read her other newer nonfiction work, In the Dream House, which I was really excited about and I've heard such good things about. So if you're someone who's read both of these, let me know how they compare, because now I'm not really sure if I want to continue on to that other one. Next, I read Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. If you follow Adri at perpetualpages, you will know that this is one of their favorite books. They have a great review for it, which I will link below. And I have been trying to make time to read this, and I finally did, and I'm so glad that I did. I really loved this story. So this is a YA, I would say kind of coming of age as well as romance story that is set around Dia de los Muertos and follows a trans brujo, Yadriel, who's trying to prove himself to his family, who doesn't really believe that he can do brujo magic. And in trying to prove himself, he ends up bringing back the ghost of not who he intended to, and has to kind of deal with that. But the ghost that he brings back, Julian, also needs his help because something happened and he was murdered. And so Yadriel and Julian work together to solve what had happened, as well as slowly fall in love. This story was so great. I was not really sure how well the story would click with me. Sometimes YA is a little bit too fast-paced or too dramatic for me, but this one was so sweet. It was just filled with all kinds of really focusing on the culture and the magic and the family dynamics for Yadriel. A lot of issues really related to how being trans fits into his family and their kind of traditions. And the storyline of him dealing with Julian, who is this very impulsive guy, but really sweethearted. I loved their romance. It was so adorable. I also just really liked the way that the story progressed. There was lots of cute things in it, but also a lot of tackling of really big issues in the queer community that I absolutely loved, and it was wonderful. I thoroughly enjoyed this. If you like magic and you like love stories and you like mysteries, this is a great one to read. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and I really highly recommend it. Next, I read a picture book called Shy Willow by Carmen. This is another one published by Levine Querido, and this is a really cute and beautifully illustrated story. It's about a very shy little bunny that lives in an unused post box. However, a little boy, one day puts a letter in there, and Shy Willow has to really go out of her comfort zone in order to help the little boy. The artwork in this is stunning. I really, really loved the use of colors. It was so colorful and beautiful. And the storyline was very fantastical. Just the things that Shy Willow does in order to try to help the little boy is really sweet. I think that I could have used a little bit more depth to the story, but overall, I thought this was a really fun picture book with really excellent artwork. So I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And lastly, I finished Memorial by Bryan Washington. This is a contemporary, maybe literary fiction that is about 2 men, Ben and Mike. Ben is a black guy and Mike is Japanese American, and they are in a relationship. They've been in a relationship for about 4 years though, and things are kind of falling apart. And one day, Mike's mom comes from Japan to stay with them. And the next day, Mike actually leaves to go to Japan himself to look after his estranged father, who has pretty bad cancer. And so Ben is left at their apartment now with Mike's mom staying with him. So it's a very interesting premise, but really what happens in this story is that we explore so much of Ben and Mike and their relationships with people and the way that they connect, and the way that they try to care about people even though there are some really toxic relationships. A lot of this especially is focused on both of them and their ability to connect with their parents and their ability to connect with each other. They are very messed up people. Everybody in this story is pretty messed up, but I connected so deeply with this story. I just absolutely loved it. I was so in tears at so many different parts of it. This is a story about a lot of people who are very much failing at life, who are very much failing at being good people, who are failing at being good parents or good children or good lovers or anything like that. And yet there's still so much empathy that you feel for these characters, so much connection. And the way that this book explores how love is something that kind of transcends all of these problems that we have and all of these failures that we have, I thought it was just so beautiful. I gave this story 5 out of 5 stars, and if I had the words to really dig down and understand what I love so much about the story, I would do a standalone review, but all I have is emotions. I will caution though that I looked at some of the reviews on Goodreads of other people who I know have read this book, and quite a few of them struggled with it because the characters are so unlikable and they make such awful decisions. So definitely warning you that that's a big part of this book, but it was also kind of a key component of why I loved it. Just the focus on being such failures as people and yet still loving each other, I thought was really beautiful. Okay, so that's everything that I read this week. If you guys have read any of these books, or if you have any thoughts, any recommendations, anything at all, just leave me a comment down below.